Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining today's webinar. We're just going to give it a couple moments before we get started here. This is let's see here. We've got our webinar started. Moment. My screen is giving me trouble now. There we go. We'll do this. Okay. Thanks for everyone who's joining us. We are live today with our team here at Valley Medical Staffing. With us for our webinar from student to sponsored F-1 nurses on the EB-3 visa track. I want to thank my team that's joining me here. I'm going to go ahead and get started, and I will introduce everyone. Whoops, my screen left me. So before I introduce us, I just wanted to mention a little bit about who we are. Most of you who may be watching or know of us know some of this. For those that don't, Valley Medical Staffing is a staffing and recruitment agency started in 2002 by our CEO and some other folks, but CEO Michael Conley is here today with us. We've also worked with our immigration attorney for about the same amount of time. That's Michael Hammond in their little screen there. We work with nurses from over 30 countries. We work with nurses that are living abroad and would like green cards before they move here, or for many of you who are visiting us today, who are working and going to school in the U.S. looking for EB-3 visa sponsorship. Okay, so let's see here. Let's introduce everybody. Nancy Hyduke, thank you for joining us today. Nancy is our VP of Talent Acquisition. How you doing, Nancy?
I'm great. Thank you for asking, Rox.
Good, good. Sounds like someone's phone's ringing in the background, but that's okay. We won't get it now. All right, cool. We've also got our talent acquisition partner, Michelle Nash. Hi, Michelle. Thanks for joining us. Where are you joining us from?
Hello, everyone. Hi, Roxy. Joining everyone here today from the lovely Minnesota.
Excellent. All right. And CEO Michael Conley, founder of Valley Medical Staffing and Vima Staffing Partners. You look like you're in Michelle's living room, but you're really calling in from.
I'm calling in from Michelle's living room.
Yes.
No, I'm in California. We just have the same interior decorator.
Nice. Love it. Yes. California is where we're actually located, our headquarters, but of course our team. And Nancy, I didn't ask you, but you are where?
I'm in Dallas, Texas.
She's in Texas. And I'm in Arizona, folks. So our team is all over, much like many of you who are watching us today. And then, of course, the most important man in the room, the immigration attorney, Michael Hammond. Where are you located?
I'm in Cincinnati. As you can tell, I'm in an office. I'm working on people's cases today.
You're getting those visa petitions in.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us. We're going to go over what the topics are, and then we'll jump right into it. So this is a webinar that is for the F-1 visa student primarily. So those of you that are living and working and studying in the U.S. and would like a green card with adjustment of status. And so we'll very quickly go over how that process works. And then we're going to jump into a lot of what I think you all have questions for. Things like navigating the immigration system as it exists right now with various proclamations like the travel bans, etc. What OPT and CPT might look like for some of you, considering some of the recent hurdles that you're having to jump through. And then, of course, we'll go over the visa bulletin, which got released yesterday. Very excited about that. Not much movement or really any much at all. But Mike will cover that. And then, of course, Nancy, I'm going to have you step in and talk about some of the current opportunities that are available to our new grad nurses. and Michelle as well will speak also on those. And then we'll just do some Q&As. So for anyone that is in a stream or watching us, if you have questions, you're able to put them in the chat. We'll do our best to get to those questions in a timely manner. Okay, so this slide has a lot of information on it. So I recommend if you're watching this now, you can later go back to our YouTube channel and freeze the screen, or you can reach out to us. The website and our email is at the bottom of this tile. This has a lot of information on it just because there's quite a complex process to get through the EB-3 visa petition. But very briefly, for those who are considering being part of the Valley Medical Staffing family, here's how it works. So, of course, you will need to apply with your resume. We work with people who are still in school or maybe have graduated or are about to graduate. When you apply with your resume, the team, that's Michelle or Nancy or Tanisha, who unfortunately was unable to make it today, but our team is fantastic. They'll reach out and they'll talk you through the opportunities and the whole process. If you do choose to accept an offer after a hospital interview, that's when we get the ball rolling and we get you moving. So you're going to graduate, you're going to take your NCLEX, you're going to get your USRN license. And while you're doing that, you're also talking to our team that is helping you make a plan for relocation and making a plan for credentialing and getting everything started. Once you have begun work, we're going to end up introducing you to the immigration attorney who you see here on your screen. That's Mike Hammond. And he's going to get your visa petition started. The EB-3 is the first document is the I-140. And that petition you can expect 6 to 8 weeks or thereabouts, depending on making sure all the paperwork is in and giving the attorney time for preparation, etc. I-140s are currently taking about 24 months or so to be approved. Mike's going to talk about that later. And some of you ask about previous priority dates you may have had. We will definitely try to recapture your priority date if it is recapturable. And depending on your unique particular circumstance, we will look at premium processing for that. It's not always advantageous, though. The I-485 adjustment of status is the second document that you'll need to get through your EB-3 process. And that's basically saying, please adjust my status from F-1 to green card. We're going to file that for you about 6 months after you start work. And the reason for that is an employment and adjustment process. We want to make sure everything is stable, you're settled, etc. You'll also need to do a visa screen and have that ready, so you'll have time to do that. At the same time, we would be filing your 765, which is your request for work authorization. Mike is going to go over some of these documents later with you to make sure, so you can understand some of the timeline as it exists now. There is the option to file the I-131 advanced parole doc for travel, and that there is a filing fee for that. You would need to cover, but we will, of course, file that on your behalf. And then, again, later, Mike's going to go over he's the expert, so he's going to give you the most up-to-date sort of timelines as it looks now. The key here, folks, is that, things change frequently. So, the timeline as it exists now might change throughout your process. But we'll certainly do everything we can to get you through the process as quickly as possible. Okay. All right. So we're going to move on to some of this immigration stuff. And Mike Hammond, can you start? What I'd like us to do, let me see here, actually. We're gonna cover things like the I-140, I-45, and 765. can you talk us through how you're seeing that process going and what the timelines are actually looking like?
Sure. So the I-140, which is, as Roxy says, the first step in the process, one thing that's really critical about the I-140 is the date that it's filed and received becomes your priority date. Think of a priority date as a date in the queue, so a date in line. That's really critical because the line determines how long it ultimately takes to get to the next stage of the process, which is the I-45, or how long it takes to ultimately get a green card. The category you're in will be the EB-3 category. That's the category that registered nurses are in. The country you are in is determined by your country of birth, not your country of citizenship. And there'll be some charts later on in the presentation where we talk about the visa bulletin, and you'll be able to see that there. The I-45 is simply the form number that says I'm now at the front of the line. I'm going to file the last stage to convert. I was on an F-1, and now I'm going to become a green card holder or a permanent resident. The 765 is a generic form used for all types of EAD cards or work cards. So if you're a student and you're applying for OPT here in a little bit, you're getting ready to graduate, you also use the 765. So it's the same form, it's used for different purposes. Premium processing, people ask all the time, if I get my I-140 premium process, instead of it taking, right now we're running at almost 2 years, will that speed up the process? And unfortunately, the answer is not really. What the premium process does is it speeds up the I-140 portion of the process only. It doesn't get you to the front of the line any faster, because recall what I said, you get in line when you're filed, not when you're approved. So it does not get you into the front of the line any faster, does not allow you to get an EAD card any faster, does not allow you to get your green card any faster. It just focuses and makes that particular stage faster. For people who have earlier priority dates, who might be current or at the front of the line, premium processing can sometimes be helpful. If you are someone who is losing sleep every single night and you just cannot handle having something holding over your head and it's worth $2,965, which to me seems like a lot of money, but that gives you peace of mind, then by all means you can premium your case. There's no disadvantage to filing your case under premium. There simply is no advantage other than maybe that personal reason. The visa screen and medicals are not needed to file the I-140, which is nice because the visa screens are expensive and the medicals are expensive, but they are needed to move to the second stage, the I-45. So generally speaking, you graduate, you've already filed for your EAD card through your school. Your school's helped you with that. You've got that all pending. Maybe even have that EAD in your hand. You graduate, you pass the boards, you get licensed, you get the EAD in your hand, you start working. We file your I-140, then you work on your visa screen, and then ultimately in medicals. Now, here's an important big picture part of this process. Your OPT cards are going to be good for 1 year. So it's a 1-year EAD card. The overall process to get to the front of the line, generally speaking, is running about, let's call it 3 years. Okay. Now, let's do some math. I have a 1-year work card and I'm in a line that's taken 3 years, right? So I got a problem. I got a gap. At the end of that 1 year, what do I do? Okay. Because now I got 2 more years to wait. And the most common thing individuals do who are students, nursing students in particular, is they go back to school into a grad school program and they get something that's called first day CPT. And that is simply a different type of work authorization that is given by your school while you go to school full-time in grad school. You can also work full-time. And different schools have different rules about how they authorize this. But essentially, they simply make a note on your I-20 that says it's authorized, and then you can continue working. And that's what people do to kind of bridge the gap from the end of the 1-year OPT until they get to the front of the line. Now, big topic now that we didn't exist 7 months ago, but is there today, is the travel ban and pause. And I think we've got another slide on that if we flip over to that.
You
Okay.
want to look at the list?
Yeah, we're going to put these into two different categories. We're going to talk travel ban first. There are 39 countries involved in the travel ban. Here's the two lists. For your purposes, just think of it as doesn't matter which of these lists you're on one of these lists. Again, 39 countries. These were announced late last December by the White House. And basically, you cannot come in with some odd exceptions. You're all in the U.S., so the traveling in doesn't matter. But in January, the USCIS said the White House approved this travel ban for these 39 countries. So we're going to put on pause on adjudications. We are not going to adjudicate cases for people from this travel ban. So for you, you're here in the U.S., you have, maybe you are from Libya, you have an OPT EAD card, you're going to go back to school, you're going to get a CPT, your I-140 can be filed, it's not going to be approved. It's going to be just held, basically. But since the line's pretty long, it probably doesn't matter significantly. So the travel ban is really significantly impacting individuals overseas, not as much here in the U.S. Still important, but not as much. Certainly not a full ban. Now let's flip to the next screen, which is what we call our pause list. This is a list of 75 countries that were announced, I think in January, that they were going to be paused for something. They're going to introduce new public charge rules. They determined that individuals coming in from these 75 countries, both on family-based visas or family green cards or employment-based cards, the majority of which were family though, had a high percentage of individuals ultimately going on welfare, some sort of need-based aid. And so they're going to create additional rules for individuals from these countries to demonstrate that they will not become public charges. They've been promising those to be announced pretty much any day now since February. So obviously the government has a different definition of any day than the rest of us do. You are in the U.S. on this call, which means this immigration pause has no effect on you whatsoever. If you are overseas, significant effect, not in the U.S. So view, for the most part, the 39 ban and the 75 pause as not significantly impacting you from here in the U.S. And since this webinar is primarily focused on people who are F-1s, you can kind of, for the most part, go, it doesn't affect me. Okay, next screen.
So before we move on to the next screen, can you just remind me with respect to the EAD card estimates, are you seeing lots? Of course, we're seeing that the travel ban countries don't seem to be getting their EAD cards.
We are
What else
seeing
can you tell us about that?
all over the board on EAD cards
Okay.
with travel ban countries. In theory, the rule from the USCIS said that all adjudications will stop. What we've not seen is any I-45s approved. We've not seen any I-140s approved, but we have seen some EAD cards approved. We've also seen some EAD cards not approved. So individuals whose EAD cards are not approved are generally going back to their school and saying, hey, I'm not getting my EAD card. And the school is allowing them to enroll in a grad school program and then give them CPT. And they're essentially losing out on the ability to use OPT, but they generally can keep working or start working based upon CPT. Personally, when it first was announced, I thought it would affect 100% of EAD cards because I think that's a benefit, is an EAD card. And they said they were going to adjudicate no benefits. But we've certainly seen some examples where people said, I got mine. Here's where mine is. So
Okay.
As for why, I have no clue.
And any indication on the pause countries and EAD cards, or have they?
Well, there's no pause on EAD cards from the pause country.
So, okay. So pause countries There
Only if you
potentially
export
could be
storage.
some delay in getting it, but generally you're seeing them all get the EADs.
We're not even seeing any delays because of them being on the pause list.
Okay.
Pause
Okay.
list
Good.
affects
Good. Good.
only overseas people.
Okay. And then for everybody out there, you know, our team will talk to you about what your status is with respect to your OPT, CPT, and EAD cards. And we'll help strategize to make sure that you stay in work authorization and everything is covered while you wait. Okay, so this is a really long slide with lots of questions. So what I think I'm going to actually do is I'm going to knock the screen off. I'm going to make you guys bigger so the team can see your faces. And I'm going to ask these questions, some of which you already kind of covered, Mike. But the first one is, when will the travel ban actually go away?
I'm assuming at about 2:35 a.m. some morning, and we'll hear about it on Truth Social. But the answer is, according to the White House, they're going to re-examine it in 6 months. And they issued this in late December, so it will be re-examined in June. That's what they say. Now, is it going to be exactly 6 months? I have no idea. Could they add to it? Sure. They could take away. They could change. We honestly just have no clue. But our first thought of when it might happen is at the 6 month mark.
Okay. Okay. Well, we're all crossing our fingers. And of course, anyone listening, we always do our best to provide you any updated information that we have. And then these types of webinars, we'll check in periodically and update you then. The next question, Mike, had been, these are of course the most frequently asked questions by potential candidates. You already did speak to this, but we'll just reiterate. Can you file my I-140 visa petition if I'm from a travel ban country?
Yes, no restrictions on filing the I-140, whether you're in the U.S. or overseas.
Right. So if you are an F-1 student, we would be able to file your petition. It will not move after it is filed, but you will have a filed petition. Right, Mike?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. And then the follow-up on that is, will I get my green card if I'm from a travel ban, which you have told us nothing will happen to your case. So it will have to wait till the travel ban is lifted.
That's correct.
Okay. And you did mention this, but if you are from a pause country, will it affect my case? And this is a specific to those living in the U.S. The answer is no, it will not affect your case.
Correct.
Okay, so one of the questions that comes up is, will you file my I-140 and I-485 concurrently? Of course, because in a moment we'll cover the visa bulletin. Rest of world, for example, is current, which means you are able to file the I-485. Our current policy is, as I mentioned earlier, is that we'll get you started working and we'll get your petition filed. And then a few months later, we'll follow up and file your I-485. What about I-140 and I-485 premium? Mike covered that. Any other comments on that, Mike?
No, it's just there is no premium available for I-45s. It's only I-140s.
Okay, and the I-140 premium only gets you through that approval process for the I-140. Doesn't move you farther in line.
Correct.
We covered a little bit about the EAD cards just now, so we'll move on from that. What do I do if I can't get my EAD card? OPT and CPT is the plan around that. As I mentioned, we will discuss with you individually for your case, and we have a team available to do so. What about this question? Will I be able to travel outside the country?
Well, if the only thing you have is your F-1, and let's say you do have a valid visa stamp still on your F-1, which most would not, but let's say you do. Once you get an I-140 filed, you can no longer travel on your F-1 visa, because the F-1 visa and reentry is indicating a non-immigrant intent, and filing an I-140 is indicating immigrant intent. So F-1 visas, as soon as that I-140 is filed, you can no longer travel. TNs are a little more complicated on a case-by-case basis, but generally you can travel with an I-140, but not with an I-485. Once you have an I-485 filed, you can obtain something called advanced parole, which we all commonly call a travel document. That will allow you to travel internationally. In theory, if you are from a banned country, you should not be issued one. If you are issued one, I would not use it until the travel ban is lifted.
Why would you not use it?
Because there's a travel ban.
So, in other words,
Let
if they left, they might not get back in.
Correct.
Right. Okay. Thank you. And then the last question here is, the dual nationality. So I was, born in this country. My I-140 is from there, but that's a travel ban country, but I have dual citizenship elsewhere. How is that treated under these suspensions?
Yeah, a couple things. First of all, your priority date is based upon your country of birth, regardless of your country of citizenship or nationality. Okay. However, for purposes of the travel ban, they are supposed to be, if you happen to have, say, you were born in Nigeria, but you have a UK citizenship, they're supposed to process you in spite of being a part of the travel ban. We've had mixed results so far. We had an individual at the consulate in UK have no trouble whatsoever. Nigerian born, no trouble. Have a UK passport. They've always been being processed under that. No issues, no delays, nothing. I have someone sitting in Toronto right now that also is from Nigeria who has a Canadian citizenship, and they have been sitting there since February. Their interview was in February. They did their interview. Normally, they would have been told on the spot they were approved, and within a week or two at most, they would have gotten all the paperwork and they would have come in, and they are still sitting there. We're now 3 months past that, and they're being told they're going through extra checks because of being in Nigeria. They're not saying they're being subject to the travel ban because the policy says they're not, but they're saying they're going through extra checks. If they're related to the travel ban, I don't know. My guess is yes, but I don't know that for a fact. So the answer is you're not supposed to be affected, but at least one person I know is. So I assume there's others.
So I think it's complicated or individual cases is what you're seeing. So
Yes.
sometimes, as we all know, with the immigration process, it feels confusing and unclear. And maybe in those cases, you're seeing that as well. Okay. Well, let's move on to the famous visa bulletin.
Woo. So the visa bulletin is something that comes out every month in advance. This is the June bulletin. It came out yesterday. Usually comes out in the middle of the month. And there's two charts, and we're going to look at both of them. One of them is called the final action date chart, and the other one is called the date for filing chart. If you are overseas, this final action date chart is the one that's the most important to you. If you're in the US, both charts are important to you. Final action date means that they can adjudicate your case. So your 485 has been pending, and now you get your priority date is before the date on this chart. They can process your case. Remember earlier I talked about RNs are in the EB-3 category, so go down and look at third. And then you find your country of birth. 4 countries have their own columns: China, India, Mexico, Philippines. Sometimes there's others added to that column, but generally that's what we have now. Everybody else, no matter whether you're born in Germany or Haiti or wherever, you're in the other column that a lot of us call rest of the world, ROW, because it used to be labeled that. Now it's called all chargeability areas except those listed. I thought rest of the world made a lot more sense, but nonetheless. And each month, these dates can change. So right now for June, if you are from, say, Germany, and you have a priority date of May 20th, 2023, they can process your case. If you have a date of June 10th, 2024, they cannot. Now, flip to the next slide. The date for filing chart, again, most important for people in the US, in theory means that if you have a priority date prior to the date on this chart, that you can file your I-45. That's why it's called a date for filing chart. However, asterisk, it's not that simple. The day after the Department of State puts out this bulletin, the USCIS, either that day or the next day, posts a notice on their own website saying which of these charts they will honor for 485 filings for this particular month. So in April, they honored the date for filing chart. Everybody was happy. In May, they're honoring only the final action date chart, which is not as favorable as the date for filing chart. This one that they just announced on June this morning, the USCIS announced that they're going to honor the final action date chart again. So what that means is you got to look at your visa bulletin, and then you've got to look at USCIS to determine, am I eligible to file? Am I at the front of the line? And then you can file. There's one other thing that's really important about these two charts. Let's go back to the other one just for a second and look at the Filipino date. It says right now, final action date, August 1st, 2023. So if I was filed in the summer of 2023, they can process my case, whether I'm overseas or in the US. Now let's flip back to the date for filing. Notice it is January 1st, 2024. The government works on a fiscal year, not a calendar year, which means their year starts on October 1st and ends on September 30th. We generally think that as a general matter, the date for filing chart is the date that the Department of State and USCIS has predicted that the final action date chart will meet by the end of the fiscal year. So we look at the Philippines one we just looked at, and we've got it's now set in August 2023. We think that before the end of the fiscal year, that date will move all the way to January 1st, 2024. So in October, so in September, when the October bulletin comes out, we carefully look and excitedly sometimes, and then sometimes turns to depression, look at the date for filing chart as a predictor of how far we think the dates will get for this fiscal year. And then throughout the year, we expect the dates to move forward, taking some in. The reason they do that is because our government works on a use it or lose it system. There's 140,000, there's more than that, but roughly let's call it that. Green cards or immigrant visas given out each year. They're split up by countries and categories. And if they only use 130,000 of them, those 10,000 don't carry over to next year. They're simply lost. So they want to give out as many as they can in a given year. They want to get as close to that 140,000 as they possibly can so that they don't waste visas. Now, one other thing about the visa bulletin, there's a section of the visa bulletin that a lot of people don't pay attention to. By the way, the visa bulletin's free. You can subscribe to it and the Department of State will email it to you, or you can be like me and a couple days before the middle of the month, you hit refresh like 50 times a day, hoping you get lucky and you see it.
That's what I do.
Yeah, no, me too. And then it pops up on like Facebook page for everybody. So
Exactly.
it's easy. The last page of the visa bulletin often carries notes. So we all focus on the charts, and that's important. But the last page or last two pages tends to carry notes about what the government thinks is going to happen going forward. So this month in June, we had like 3 different sections of notes talking about that we're likely going to retrogress in categories EB-1 and EB-2 for India, which again, doesn't affect you guys as nurses, but just saying it's there. EB-2 for China is likely to retrogress. EB-3 for Philippines is likely to exhaust all of their numbers for the year and retrogress in the summer, which sounds bad. As soon as we talk retrogression and the dates going backwards or even a U appearing there, which means unavailable, and we think, oh my God, that's terrible, I'm going backwards in time. No, think about it this way. All that really means is if they allocated, say, 9,000 immigrant visas for the Philippines, that they have actually given out 9,000.
Mhm.
So the process worked well. It was efficient. That's better than the number staying where it's at and them only giving out 8,000 because then 1,000 got wasted. So in the summer, July, August, particularly August and September months, we often see either retrogression or U's appear. Don't worry about those. That's not bad. Come October 1st, they'll go back to, generally speaking, where they were to start with. So that's the info of the visa bulletin.
Question for you, Mike, regarding the dates for filing chart being an indicator of perhaps where the next year might move. With respect to like rest of world, for example, because it's current, what does that mean?
It means that in theory, the final action date should move to current by the end of the fiscal year.
And okay, that's good news. That's great.
Correct. Now,
oh wow,
I might as well explain why we're seeing all these movements. If we had this call in December, we would have not seen this type of movement. We would have said the dates back then were 2023, Filipino dates and rest of the world were all basically the same, and things were moving very slowly. Well, what did we talk about earlier? We talked about the travel ban, and we talked about the pause. Well, what that meant as a practical matter is that 40%, according to the Department of State, 40% of all immigrant visas issued in fiscal year 2025 came from those combined 39 and 75 countries, which meant no one is getting approved for 40% of the cases they were approved for last year, which means everybody else gets to take advantage of that and move up and move forward. So it's been bad news if you're on that list. It's been good news for everybody else. With the good news comes with uncertainty, though. We had great news for all of April, and then all of a sudden now we're back to not as good a news in May. Seems like it's been kind of pulled away from us, but in reality, it was just a short-term blip anyway. Maybe it comes back in July. We don't know. So that's why things have moved so fast.
Thank you. It's so helpful. The visa bulletin is very, very complicated and confusing. So we really appreciate you coming on here and giving us a primer every time. Every time, it's great. Before we move on to the opportunities that we're actually hiring for, really fast, Mike Hammond, can you just reiterate for me what you're seeing in terms of how long I-140s the approval process is taking for I-140s?
Yeah, so for I-140s, we are seeing 22 months on average.
Okay.
So
almost 2 years.
Forever.
Okay.
Now, one of the things to keep in mind is if your priority date is current, if you're at the front of the line, you do not need an approved I-140 to file your 485. You can file based upon a pending I-140. So,
correct.
And then they will process your I-140 with your 485.
Okay, and are we seeing a particular timeline for your I-485 adjudications?
Yes, and I'm going to give you some information that as I've told several people that I've talked to about this, I'm going to give you a piece of information that's completely worthless, but I'm giving it anyway. And the reason why is if I look at the USCIS website, it says that the average 485 has taken 30 months to process.
Wow.
I personally have some 485s whose priority dates were current under the final action date chart who were processed in 3 months. Okay. So the range that I'm seeing is 3 months to a little over 3 years. And I don't know about you, but a range that's that big isn't terribly helpful.
No.
And to some degree, there's an interplay with the EAD card there, because if I file a 485 today and I file an EAD card with that, in theory, the USCIS is saying they're taking 8 to 10 months to process that EAD card. But I've had several people who didn't even get an EAD card. They just got their green card approved.
Wow.
And so they never got their EAD. It doesn't matter because so when you file and you say, I'm going to have to stay on CPT for another 8 to 12 months, maybe, Maybe
Mhm.
not. Maybe you get approved before then. Then you don't need to stay on CPT. Maybe you get your EAD card, and then you don't have to stay on CPT if you don't want to. So there's a variety of things that have made the processing times very uncertain, unpredictable, and to be honest, quite frustrating. Because you may be friends with someone, you might even work on the same unit with them. You guys have all filed together. Maybe you're even roommates. That's the best scenario. Roommates. And one of them gets their whole green card approved in 3 months, and the other one is sitting there and doesn't even have an EAD in 10 months.
Mhm.
And that's got to be really frustrating. And I would say eat all their food, mess with their stuff, change their passwords, do other stuff. But it's just there's no good explanation for why they have been blessed greatly by the immigration gods and you have not.
Do you recommend premium processing for EAD cards?
Well, you can only premium process for the EADs for student OPT type cards. You can't for a 45.
Right, that's what I mean for the OPT. We're seeing some folks premium processing to get through that.
Oh,
portal.
sure. If you've already gotten your past your NCLEX, sure, because then you can start.
Yeah.
But if you
Yeah.
haven't passed yet or you still haven't taken it yet, then probably no reason to.
Okay. Okay.
Mike?
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Quick question for you regarding that. If you're from a banned country and you filed for OPT, and you're like in total limbo, you're not getting any card issue, you're not getting any answers, would you recommend somebody file an expedited OPT?
I would probably not, because part of me is biased because I think $3,000 is a lot of money, especially when I'm not for sure I'm going to get the resolution I want, which means I'm likely going to have to go to grad school and get first day CPT anyway. So I'd rather be going back to grad school with $3,000 extra dollars in my pocket than going back to grad school without $3,000 in my pocket.
And the problem that we're facing is we have people, say from Nigeria, who are waiting for their OPT to be approved and are waiting and waiting, and then find themselves falling into other traps of, being too long since they graduated from school or other things like that. Or they've also found out that, well, my friend from Nigeria got their OPT approved. It's just completely crazy and unfair.
Yes,
Yeah.
no, absolutely. And that's all true. Your friend did get theirs approved. And you might as well by doing the premium upgrade. You might. It may also just be wasted and they do not refund it.
Okay.
Or at least we haven't seen any refunded yet.
If you file for OPT after your bachelor's degree and it's never adjudicated, can you file again if you finish a master's program?
Well, it would depend upon how much of your CPT you used. And so
Okay.
generally you're not, because you're working full time on your CPT.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
So
What
from
amount?
a banned country, you should be looking at CPT right away anyways.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. That's right. Yeah. And the schools are usually pretty good about keeping track of how long you've been on OPT without working, because you're supposed to give them an update. But it's your life and your case, and it's not the schools. And so don't rely on the school to be keeping track of those dates for you, because you may be disappointed and then there's no recourse. So keep track of it yourself as to what the rule is, and your school can help you with those rules. But generally 60, 90 days, if you're beyond that, you're in some trouble.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for all of that information. Very helpful. All right. So any comments or questions from Nancy, Michelle, or Mike before we move on to opportunities? Okay.
No.
All right. Well, Nancy, I would love for you to talk a little bit about this California opportunity.
We have a couple of California opportunities. We have 2 partners that are offering new grad programs. We prefer to put our new grads in some kind of formalized program. We have one facility that will do that. The other one will take you, since everyone passes their NCLEX at different times and everyone is starting at a different time, they will take you and they will build the orientation preparation around you and around your timeline. The hospital that offers the more structured program, start dates are a little more structured, but you get an excellent education. Both of them, we will get you interviews, hopefully in the area that you're intending to spend your career in. Some of them have opportunities available in, say, 3 or 4 different areas. You may interview with a panel of the 3 to 4 different managers. And then depending on how many offers you get to choose the area that you want to accept your offer in. They also will offer contingent based on your NCLEX passing. We don't want anyone to not go ahead and contact us because they're still in their last semester, they're finishing things up, they have not taken their NCLEX. For whatever reason, we still want you to contact us. Michelle and Tanisha will take your situation and they will build a plan for you. They will get you an interview in the area that you choose. Some of our hospitals will take you into specialty areas. Some have to create those positions before the new grad program starts. So you may not interview if you want to go to ICU at a particular facility. They may not have a new grad program or a new grad spot for you, but they will have another spot that will help you. Say you do a year of med surg and then you transition into the ICU, or you do a year of telemetry and then easily transition to ICU or a designated observation unit. We can do all of that with our partners. They're very flexible about where they put their new grads. Michelle, what do you have to add to that?
It's a wonderful opportunity at either one of the facilities. A lot of times the new grads will ask me, Nancy, well, which one's a better opportunity? They're both fabulous opportunities, right?
And ladies, these are opportunities in Southern California, LA area, right?
Correct.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. What's it like for anyone wondering? What do you tell these students about moving to California and being in Southern California?
Okay. Well, we tell them that it is expensive to live in Los Angeles. The benefit to many of our new grads that want to live there is they have a friend that wants to live there as well, and they can set up like a roommate situation. But we want to make sure that they're not surprised when they get there. It is expensive. However, we have one of the hospitals where there's plenty of safe housing within walking distance that saves them having to have a car and drive in LA, which I've done. I've scared a number of people doing that. So there are a lot of, and we have people that are already working there that can kind of direct them. You know, I live in this apartment complex. It takes me 5 minutes to walk to and from work. There are plenty of people around, so I never feel unsafe. Those kinds of things. But they do need to know that it's expensive. Sometimes the licensing process can take a little bit longer than perhaps it would in another state. But we are used to it. One of the benefits of working with Valley Medical is that we are a small company. We have, I'm sure Mike Conley has seen literally every situation that could come up, and we have created workarounds so we can handle just about any situation.
Yeah, agree. And just to add to that, our team helps you, what Nancy mentioned, make a strategy. If you're pre-NCLEX, pre-graduation, or ready to go, our team will help with licensure and the California Board of Nursing. They'll walk you through the process. So we are very hands-on. Thank you for mentioning that, Nancy. Very hands-on individual attention. Michelle, can you cover a little bit about what's happening in Northwest New Mexico?
Yes, I can. Thank you, Roxy. Another wonderful opportunity at our hospital there in what we call here in the United States, the Four Corners area of New Mexico. Very beautiful, with the mountains in the background, and a lot of outdoor activities to do. And it's a very family-friendly, very affordable place to live. So we like to highlight that for our nurses, especially if you're paying tuition in a CPT program. More money in your pocket with a lower cost of living. At this facility, you can choose 3 different units to interview for. You will interview with some amazing managers that sometimes people get a little nervous thinking, well, I'm going to interview with 3 leaders. But these leaders are wonderful. They make you feel relaxed and comfortable and make the whole interview process just very relaxing, and getting to know you and learn about your BSN program and your favorite clinicals and things like that.
Not to interrupt, Michelle, but this hospital also, they love international nurses.
Yes.
International students. They will invite you before your start date to a meet and greet, so that you can meet everyone that will be essential in ensuring your success in that position. And you don't have to walk in on your first day and not know anyone and feel like you are kind of a fish out of water. They make sure that you feel like you are valued, because you are. They do value they value all their employees, but particularly our international nurses.
Yes, absolutely.
And we have international nurses at all 3 of the facilities already under VIMA and Valley. So you'll have a family of nurses to meet when you arrive at these particular locations. Thank you, guys. Mike Conley, did you want to add anything to the opportunities conversation? Maybe a little bit about what our contract covers, or any other thoughts?
Sure. I was just going to make sure that they mention that it's expensive to live in Los Angeles.
The cost of living in California is expensive, yes.
Yes.
But it's incredible. I'm Mike, being in Northern California, and I also lived in Northern California for decades. California is awesome. So
it is. That's why so many people want to live here. That's why people are willing to spend so much money to live here. It's a lovely place to live.
Yeah.
It's challenging economically, and that's for everybody. And it seems to be getting worse all the time. But that's neither here nor there. If it's a great opportunity, we find that we do what we have to do in our lives, and I think that that's part of this whole program is we all have goals. Your goals, you're partway through what your goal was when you first came to the United States, which was to get a degree in nursing. Congratulations, you're getting to that point. We have a lot of people who are graduating who are working with us over the last 2 weeks and the next week and a half. That's fantastic. You've reached that first goal. The second goal would be to get some clinical experience. And the programs that we work with offer fantastic opportunities to get that clinical experience you're looking for. The training, the preceptorship, the mentorship, lots of great opportunity there to advance your clinical position. The last thing is you're hoping for that green card. And that's where we can help you as well. With our relationships with these facilities that we're working with, we get you that clinical aspect, but we also can help you get the green card. As Mike has spent most of this call, be prepared for a lot of uncomfortable things, the time, the frustration, the hassle. It's all there. The government's made sure it's there in spades. But our job is to get you to the green card petition end. And so we will help you, with your OPT. We'll keep you get you into a CPT program in order to keep your process going. If we're able to file the I-485 and get you a new work permit so you don't have to do CPT anymore, That's the dream. I mean, that's the ultimate goal. And we work very closely with Mike and his people to move you through the process as quickly as we possibly can. As you can imagine, it's been challenging for everybody over the last couple of months when rest of the world went current for EB-3 on the date of filing. It just was a tsunami. But our goal is to get you where you want to be. And that is a green card and clinical experience. And we've been doing it for almost 25 years now. I think we've got a pretty good reputation for helping people reach those dreams. And I don't know what else to say other than it's the best job in the world, helping people meet their dreams. And I feel like Santa Claus sometimes, making dreams come true. I know Mike does.
Yeah.
Especially when I wear the wig and stuff.
Oh no.
You don't need a wig with all that flowing white hair.
Well, yeah, I know. It's hidden by the special effects for this video.
At least I don't know if you guys see what I see, but I look like I'm frozen on the video.
You have been the whole
entire
call.
time. Right. That's what I thought. Okay. Well,
But
you
at
know
least
what?
it's not a weird looking face, so you're fine.
I mean, it's kind of weird. Look, we only have a couple more minutes, guys, but I do want to go over some of the questions that I'm seeing. If that's okay, we might run over a couple minutes extra. But let's talk about, we had a question earlier from a person who says, my medical and visa screen is submitted to the attorney in March. How come the law firm hasn't filed my I-485? And while I don't know the details and nor the person's name who wrote this question, I suspect that it may be a question of maybe Mike Hammond. How long does it typically take for the attorney's office to process all the paperwork and get the I-485 ready for filing? What can they expect?
I mean, I think it varies a lot depending upon the circumstances, depending on family members, whether there's any issues, whether there's something you are missing that you've got to spend time getting. It looks like you did an associate's only, so you're not you're not in a bachelor's program. So it depends on how you're working. If you were in asylum or something else that may have created some complications, but there's probably some very specific reasons as to why, if you were eligible in March, that you still weren't filed in April. Your best bet, since you said you're not eligible for CPT because you only have an associate's, is I think most individuals would go back and do a BSN and simply give up on the idea of working right now. Do a BSN. A lot of the programs you can complete a BSN in under a year or right at a year coming from an associate's, and then you would be entitled to a new OPT. And then you can talk to your employer, whoever that employer happens to be, about whether they will keep your job available and continue to sponsor a 485, or if you already have an I-140 approved, someone else will probably pick you up.
Okay. Okay. I think
I want to piggyback on that too. We do get a lot of ADNs that apply, and it breaks our heart, but we're not hiring ADNs for that very reason. Right. We can't. There's no real mechanism to keep you working continuously as you move through the process, and our clients, trust me, are not interested in training somebody for 6 months only to have them disappear. So it's very unfortunate. We were hoping that maybe we could get to a point where if everything's current, we might be able to do ADNs. We're just not there yet, and there's just too much uncertainty because everything changes. It seems like every couple of minutes.
Yeah.
Don't hesitate to contact us. If you are graduating with your ADN, don't hesitate to contact us. We can't hire you with your ADN, but we will sure keep in touch with you while you complete your BSN program, and make sure that you have everything that you need to be successful when you graduate, get your OPT, and we can help you get into a new grad program. We want to be your touchstone for getting through this process successfully. And Michelle and Tanisha are great about keeping up with you. So don't hesitate to contact us. We cannot hire you with your ADN, but we will definitely keep track of you and guide you through your BSN and thereafter.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Nancy.
Nancy.
I couldn't have said it better. That's exactly what what I was thinking. Okay, so let's see. Just to go back to the question regarding the I-485 filing, I'm going to just make a general comment, which is it takes many weeks for the attorneys to prepare documentation for your I-140 visa petition or the I-485 or otherwise. And what Mike just mentioned is there's always circumstantial reasons that may or may not make it longer or shorter. So we just appreciate the patience that people have. Sometimes I've heard a nurse say, well, my friend got hers filed yesterday. Why isn't mine filed today? I would just offer comparison to other people's cases is a very difficult thing because there are so many individual circumstances. But certainly you have a connection to me if you are an employee of Valley or Vima. And we can always touch base and see where things are. And of course, Mike and his team will do their best to update you as much as they can. They've got a lot of I-485s going right now, that's for sure. Okay, so I'm not quite understanding not possible until I am current again. What are my options to continue working for my employer? Unfortunately, that question is not that clear. So I will move on from that if you wanted to add any extra information. Jonathan, so what if F-1 visa is not nursing related? Can we still apply for OPT? I am not an OPT expert, and you certainly would need to discuss that with your DSO. Does anyone on the call here want to make a comment on that question?
Yeah, sure. Your OPT is done after you graduate, and your work that you do has to be connected to your degree program. So if you have a degree in engineering, you need to work as an engineer. If you have a degree in medical technology, you need to work as a med tech. You know, you can't work as an RN, even if you've already passed NCLEX and have a license. If you've got a degree in business and you've got an OPT on business, there's no connection to bedside nursing. So there does need to be a connection to your OPT, to your degree in order to work legally.
And your DSO will help you through with that. Thank you. Let's see, Emily Marshall, the new F-1 visa status regulations expected to be published about restrictions on OPT, CPT, and eliminating DS. Is there anything proactive we can do to ensure we maintain status? Mike, do you understand that question?
Yeah, well, there's been rumors about changes to the OPT, CPT student program for about 25 years now. And so on a regular basis, they come out and talk about we're going to make changes to it. Certainly this administration is more likely to make changes than others. They did not make changes during their first term, though, even though there was talk about it. Could they make changes this time? Maybe. Maybe not. And once proposed regulations come out, schools and everybody else has an opportunity to provide. Keep in mind, one of the biggest users of CPT, two biggest users of CPT are not healthcare. It is teachers and research. Most grad school programs, when you're talking science and higher end research, PhD and master's level programs, a big component of what you're doing while you're getting your PhD in biology is you are working at a research lab, maybe connected to your school, maybe not. And so there's significant, when we think CPT, we think of us and how it affects us, and it's really important to us, but that's a really teeny small portion of how CPT is used. And so there'll be a lot of pushback from research facilities, universities, et cetera, if in fact there are proposed regs. So I tend to take a lot of those kind of fear of changes. I'm not saying they're not going to happen. I'm saying we can't do anything about them until they do happen.
Right. Yes.
And there will be litigation.
Yeah, there's litigation.
Always.
That's how lawyers make money.
That's right.
Says the lawyer.
That's right. Who doesn't do litigation, but
Okay, so let's see. Elvia Castaneda for California licensed RNs, already NCLEX passed, and a graduate. This is a good question maybe for Nancy and Michelle. What are the most important factors employers evaluate for EB-3 sponsorship? I'm going to twist that in terms of maybe perhaps employment for nursing.
What are our partners looking for as far as when they interview our students?
Exactly.
One of the main things that, not sure what that is your ability to verbalize your knowledge and your actions. You have to be able to go through scenarios of patient care depending on
sorry, not sure where that feedback's coming from.
Not where it's coming from. Your ability to go through, say, your initial assessment when you first get your patient in the morning. What your not necessarily, what are your goals? Not that. What is the pathway that you want to follow to get to your ultimate goal? If you want to go through and be a nurse practitioner, have an idea of how you're going to do that, what your plan is to get through. They also would like, if you've done a capstone in a particular specialty, they'll probably dig into that a little bit more. They want to make sure that you can articulate what you've just spent 4 years learning. And some people are able to do that better than others. It's something you do in your head every time you pick up a patient. It just needs to be something that you can verbalize when you're going through your interview. It's not intimidating. That's not meant to scare you. It's just, I think about, well, when I walk in the room, I look at my patient, I note their color, whether or not they're sweat, those kinds of things. And they're going to take the students or the new grads that can think on their feet, because that's the nurse's job, is thinking on your feet. So make sure that you're comfortable. And sometimes if I have people who have not done a lot of scenarios, I have them pick up a review book, like even an NCLEX review book, even though you've already passed the test, because they will go through question, right answer, and why that was the right answer. So that may help you respond to those scenario questions a little bit easier. But
that's really smart.
Have a plan for what you want to do. I'm going to stay at the bedside for 5 years. Then I'm going to go to grad school, get my nurse practitioner, and work in a area with a severe need for medical personnel. Maybe I want to go work on a reservation. Whatever you see far down the road, feel free to share with them. They'll appreciate that.
Yeah, being prepared for those interviews and understanding what your goals are, that's really helpful. With respect to, being an EB-3 green card sponsee, registered nurses are eligible for EB-3. So through the process of working with someone like Valley Medical Staffing, of course, Nancy, Michelle, and Tanisha will be interviewing you initially to talk about your goals, like Nancy just spoke about. To make sure that you're, an employee that will do well in some of the facilities that are hiring. And once they deem that, and you would be offered a contract, they'd get you that hospital interview, and then that's your time to talk to the employers. So I hope that answers your question, Elvia. Really, it's about being prepared with your goals. Farhana, you asked about being on the pause list country, but have a nationality from Europe. I assume you mean a citizenship from Europe, a European country. Mike Hammond did speak about that a little bit earlier, but Mike, if you could just recap really fast, if the pause country dual citizenship will help a person.
If you're in the U.S., the pause country list doesn't make any difference.
And if they're out of the U.S.?
Then the nationality should not affect, but what we've seen is that it does.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, Emily Marshall, how long does it take to endorse your license to Georgia? I don't have any idea. Does Nancy or anyone on the call know that? We're not working with any hospitals in Georgia currently, Where could they find that information? Do you know?
The Georgia Board of Nursing should be able to tell them how long it's going to take.
There you go.
Claude,
Yeah, there
Sorry?
you go. Exactly. The internet.
Google.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the follow-up was, won't the refund the premium processing fee if no decision is made on the OPT EAD? No, you do not get a refund on premium processing. Let's see here. Will nurse be
First up,
exempted?
Daniel says hi. Hi, Daniel.
Yes. Sorry. Hello, Daniel. Thank you. MSK, will nurse be exempt from the new increased perm wage level proposed by the government, given that the nurses are scheduled A? Mike Hammond, do you know anything about that?
Yeah, they're rerunning out the new prevailing wage levels that they did during their first term. During their first term, that same proposal was struck down by a court as being violating federal law. But they're trying again. Nurses are not exempt. There are no workers that are exempt. It really was a set of rules that had very little effect as a practical matter, though. So I wouldn't worry about it.
Thank you. Thank you. I hope. Okay, thanks. Lifestyle, do you process through Schedule A? Do you work in Michigan? No, we do not work in Michigan. We are Schedule A perm process, right? Am I saying that correct, Mike Hammond?
Schedule A, that's correct.
Yeah. Farhana followed up about having a license in Texas and a visa screen and doing a master's while being processed. Farhana, it sounds like you are here in the U.S. and if you have OPT or plan on working in a master's that allows you to have full-time CPT and be at one of our facilities, then that may be a good idea for you. Okay, so the question Irene's asking about, may I know your partnered hospitals in New Mexico? Nancy, at what point do you talk to the nurses about the particular exact hospital?
If they're students, if they're F-1 students, we talk to them right off the bat, kind of. Michelle and Tanisha go through and let them know everything they need to do getting up to that process. And we give them all the information they need to know about the partners that offer new grad positions. One of the reasons that we love talking about New Mexico is the reception that our student or our new grads have gotten in New Mexico. So we talk that up quite well. Going into your first job as a nurse is hard enough as it is, without having to worry about the anxiety of meeting a whole bunch of new people and learning all new processes and looking like you don't know what you're doing. But the hospital in New Mexico has taken all that into consideration and really welcomes our people. And, you know, we want people to know that. We want people to know that that's out there and available. The California hospitals are welcoming as well. They've been doing these new grad programs for years and years and years and years and years and absolutely know what they're doing. I'm not sure they've gone to as much effort to concentrate on welcoming international nurses as New Mexico has. They have made a fine art out of welcoming our people.
Okay.
And I just want to add that we are not naming the actual facilities themselves because we've not been given permission by the facilities to put it out into a public forum such as this. But if you apply and send in or give Nancy or Michelle a call, they'll talk to you about the exact facility it is.
Absolutely.
So that's why we're not advertising the name of it in this forum.
Thank you, Mike, for adding that. And then I too would also add for any of you folks that are still in school, you know, maybe still have a year or so left. Our hospital clients do change over time, so other opportunities will arise. Keep checking back with us, talking to Nancy. The planning ahead, can't stress that enough. You know, the connection that you make with our team will help you in spades down the road to make things a lot smoother. And sometimes the opportunities at hospitals change, or we bring in new hospitals, or other hospitals decide they want to bring in new grads, etc. Thank you. Zion, Nancy, you got a fan. Hello, Nancy. It's what the message says. Zion Floro Fuentes, thank you very much. Okay, so James, what is the eligibility criteria for a diploma registered nurse to be recruited by VEMA? I think with respect to that question, we hire BSN. BSN or higher nurses is the answer. Andrew asks, what if I'm a current F-1 nursing student in New York? Can I still apply to you guys even though you're in California and New Mexico? 100% yes, Andrew. Part of our program is that we help relocate you. We provide assistance for travel to do so. And then, of course, we help your license become endorsed to the state that you actually end up. Anybody else want to comment on that, Andrew's question?
I just want to mention that one of the reasons that you choose where you end up as a new grad, of course, you know, I've always dreamed about living in this particular city or whatever. One of the things you consider when you make this decision is some of our hospitals offer a particular specialty. You know, if you want to take care of a kid with pediatric cancer, where do you want to go? You want to go to St. Jude. That's not one of our partners, but we have hospitals with specialties. And if your dream is to be a cath lab nurse, then you want to go to the hospital that has the best opportunity for that particular specialty. So in addition to looking at, ooh, do I really want to live in New Mexico? Well, if you want to be at a busy hospital that will help you achieve your goals and be a success, then yeah, maybe you do want to go to New Mexico. If you want to consider a different goal, like I want to work in a general hospital and I want to learn all kinds of different patient care and different disease processes, then I might end up at this particular hospital. So consider, even though your dream is to work in, you know, Miami, Florida, there may be a place that's even better based on your career goals. There may be a place that's better for you to consider for your offer.
Yes, thank you. Awesome. Zion just clarified that you interviewed together and you're still working in Canada. For those on the call who are in Canada and may also be Canadian citizens, we do also work with TN visas. So thank you for that clarification. Okay, this email, Yako, I'm sorry, I cannot pronounce it. If I have a priority date and an EB-3, can I use the same priority date with an RN BSN while applying for a new I-140? I'm going to extract out of that question that the answer is, if you have a previous priority date, we will do our best to recapture that priority date when we file a new I-140 petition.
Yes, unskilled priority dates can flow to skilled categories. Any employment category can move and be recaptured. Family priority dates cannot cross over and vice versa, but all employment categories can move up and down the line.
That's a nice feature. Gani, regarding the scrutiny for banned countries, both immigration and adjudication, how long is the process taking and when would be the right time to apply? And when does the process start for people inside the U.S.? Mike Conley, you want to take that question for us?
The best time to apply is immediately.
Exactly.
Because if you apply, you get a priority date. And as Mike has explained, the priority date is the most important date because it's your place in line. If you hem and haw, you don't, oh, what should I do it? Should I not do it? Blah, blah, blah. All you're doing is losing time. So the best time to apply is immediately, even if you're from a banned country. What that means is your case won't get adjudicated, but you'll have a priority date. And at some point in time, as God is my witness, if you're from a banned country, you will eventually be able to immigrate to the United States because things change. That's the only thing that I know for certain. Things change. Right. So ideally, you'd start the process as soon as you can, and then you're just going to have to wait out whatever the nonsense is that's going on with the USCIS. and always has been and always will be. And then it was the right time. And does the process start? And when does it start for people in the United States? That really depends on what your situation is. Are you a new grad? Are you about to graduate? Are you here in some other way, shape, or form? Are you in a different country? There's just too many things to consider. But I will go on to your next comment, Gani, and that is, how does our placement work? And it works. It's a contractual agreement between us and you. You will go and work for one of our clients for a 3-year period of time. And we'll go through the immigration processing work either before you get here if you're overseas, or while you're working if you're doing an adjustment of status.
Thanks, Mike. Okay, so
And
another
Gani just answered. Gani just came up with all the information I was looking for. Gani, you should reach out and start talking to Michelle or Nancy right away. If you're graduating in December of this year, now is the time to start talking with us and figuring out where you can work, and we can start getting your case and everything put together in anticipation of your graduation in December. So thank you for putting that information there.
Yeah, thank you. And we'll hear from you soon, Gani. I'm gonna say last question here is the priority date. Mike Hammond, again, if you wouldn't mind, the RN-ADN EB-3 priority date is still current. Can you help me hiring it, or should it be BSN? Even my priority date is current.
I mean, I think the reason why the BSN is the policy is because that's the only thing that provides you with the ability to continue working
Full time.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah. But if the question is about recapturing, that it seems like maybe we would need more details. So you're more than welcome to reach out to us or apply, and we'll do our best to look at your unique situation. Okay, so there's Zion wrote one more question. I'll let it in, and then we're gonna close it out. If Zion goes back to the Philippines after the contract in Canada, do I need to work in a hospital while waiting for the application process? May I know how long it will take to wait for the entire process? So you made a great question, because it's a segue into the last slide, which is also, we do hire consular processed. So that means you're living outside of the U.S. We file a petition for you while you're living outside of the U.S. And eventually, when your priority date becomes current and documentarily qualified, you eventually get an interview at the embassy. And assuming all goes well, you get your green card. You get that green card before you arrive at the U.S. And we help relocate you to the U.S. But yes, you must be working current bedside during that process, because all our employers are looking for current bedside experience, especially for those who are experienced nurses outside of the U.S. Typically, right now, the process is taking about, Mike Hammond, please chime in, consular process, it's still around 3 years, correct?
Yeah, I think that's still a good number.
Okay, and the process for the adjustment of status inside the U.S. for F-1's visa students is?
3 months to 3+ years.
Okay, 3 months. Why you say 3 months?
Because
That's after their I-485 is filed.
Right.
Ah,
And
I
you're
see.
current.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the entire process typically might take filing the I-140 to the end around 3 years also.
Yeah, from the beginning once you file an I-140. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, John, the last question you wrote, please go ahead and email us at careers@vmstaffing.com, or I'll touch base maybe on Facebook with you later to get your questions answered. But we're going to end the session today. I can't thank you enough, all of you, for staying on 25 minutes past the hour. And for everybody that's actually been watching and asking questions, we thank you. This webinar will also stream on our YouTube channel indefinitely, so you'll be able to catch it again and again and again. Any words of wisdom from the team before we let you go? Mike Hammond.
I would just say be prepared for changes. in timing and in what direction you need to go, and be flexible and understand that you're going to get to the end. It just may not look like the way your path looked like on day one. But it often happens. It's more positive than negative. I think when we think about changes, we always think of them as negative. They're not always. So, but be prepared for a lot of flexibility.
Thank you. Michelle.
Well, really look forward to seeing your applications come through. My email, contact information was there, or as Roxy said, careers@vmstaffing.com. Always happy to connect and talk with you, answer questions, and tell you a little more. So look forward to a conversation with you.
Great. Thanks, Michelle. And Nancy.
Michelle absolutely means what she said. Please contact us. I don't care if you're graduating in December, if you're graduating a year from December. She will keep in touch with you until the time when we, can get you a contingent offer, get you an interview. And that way you're sure that you're absolutely on the path that will give you the best success. So we really do want you to contact us wherever you are in the process.
Yes. Thank you, Nancy. Mike Conley.
I believe that the most important word is patience. You need to be patient through this process. There's lots of ups and downs and ins and outs and overs and unders, lots of different things happening, lots of changes while it's going on. So you just need to be patient with the process. The one good thing is, in any situation that you're in with us, if you're overseas in a consular process, or if you're working with us while you're here, your clinical career is advancing. And that is the second pillar that we were talking about earlier. You want to get a green card, sure, but you want to be a nurse, and you want to be a great nurse. And so take advantage of the opportunity of time. Time is a very valuable commodity to you, and take advantage of that time to enhance your career clinically the best you can. And my last piece of advice is comparison is the thief of joy.
Yes.
Don't compare what's happening in your world to somebody else's world, because in today's immigration processing, it doesn't seem like you can have an identical case and you'll get different outcomes. So just focus on what you can focus on. Don't worry about what's happening with other people. Continue advancing your clinical career and be patient, and hopefully we all get to the promised land.
Thanks, Mike. I appreciate that. And I appreciate everyone. My last comment is, I'm sorry that you had to look at my frozen silly face the entire webinar. It looks like maybe my camera really is kaput, but that's okay. Anyone out there, you have a myriad ways to reach out to us, either on our website, email, social media channels. We want to help you. And so bring the questions. And like all of these folks said, being prepared, having patience and perseverance is really it. And we'll get you to the finish line. So thanks everybody for joining us today. Until the next time, we'll see you later.
Special thanks to Mike Hammond, our favorite immigration attorney.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. All right. Thanks everyone. Bye-bye.